We think everything's permanent. And because we think it's permanent, we make permanent decisions based on temporary conditions. Even our bodies, other than our souls, are temporary. When you imagine something, you create a space. Once you have a thought, this is powerful. When you have a thought, you create a space that did not exist in the world before you had that thought. And that space now exists. And the way your brain works and your life works and the universe works is it tries to furnish that space, whether it's a negative or a positive thought. It starts to hear things it wouldn't hear. That's why, like, when you're in a crowded room and they say, Lewis, you can hear Lewis auditorily over all the noise. Why? It's in your RAS. It's why you see the Tesla, okay? So the key thing is being able to operate out of this imagination. Why is imagination so important? And I don't think there's negative or positive emotions. I say this in the book. There just are.
Yes.
Fear isn't negative. Fear in abundance is negative. But some fear, being afraid to do this podcast, to some extent causes us to prepare. So a dose of it was given to us in the caveman days so T-Rex didn't eat us, right?
Sure.
Some fear is good. Some anxiety is okay. Some frustration, some anger is appropriate. It's to the dosage level. In my dad's darkest, worst moment of his life, some coffee shop or some room somewhere, some precious soul helped my dad.
Reached out to him, talked to him.
Talked to him and got him sober.
Wow.
And I said, babe, that's not the powerful part. And I have no idea who this person is, but I wonder if they know the difference they made in Max and Bella's, my children's lives, or your life,
Wow.
or the millions of people I've helped. That one decision they made. And she goes, oh my gosh. I said, I never thought about this beautiful human being. Always gave the credit to my dad, but some stranger helped him. And I said, babe, this is the bananas part. Do you know what qualified them to help my dad? Their messed up life.
Wow.
They were an alcoholic. They were a drug addict. Little did that person know the things they were the most ashamed of, the biggest mistakes of their lives, when they were using drugs and drinking and stealing it, that was qualifying them to change my dad's life. And all of us, we run around carrying these bags of, I'm not qualified because I made this mistake, I had this bankruptcy, this relationship didn't work, I did this thing you don't know about, I'm so ashamed of.
And that's why you're qualified.
That's the thing that qualifies you.
Yeah.
The humanness in you. You are the only human being with your combination of gifts that you were given, whatever they are, and your experience. And real human beings help real human beings by being vulnerable and transparent, saying, I know where you are. I've messed up worse.
Right.
I've made greater mistakes. I felt more, I know that depression. I know that anxiety. I know that shame. I know what that feels like. That beautiful soul who was a drug addict and alcoholic, they didn't know all those mistakes they're making were leading them out of their heart. And they finally got to a point where their intention was to help my father. In the lowest moment of his life, they changed my dad's life, and they're changed mine, and maybe me and you are changing a few today because of that person's mess. For me, anger is just a manifestation of fear, and when I see it in other people, men or women, I have empathy for them because I know they're afraid.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that. I think anger is always a result of some type of fear. The greatest athletes that we admire can slow things down under pressure. They're calm. If you think of a Tom Brady, who's everybody's example in this age, is that when it's the noisiest and the crowd's the craziest and it's the playoffs and it's the highest stakes, for the average person, everything speeds up and they lose control. The idea that still people manage a day in 24 hours is hilarious to me. That this archaic concept that a day is 24 hours is bananas. Like, the 24-hour day was just made up by somebody about the sun and the earth going around each other, billion, 100 million years ago or whatever it was. And this is before there was electricity. There were cars. There was the internet. There was a smartphone. So you're going to tell me I should measure my day the same duration of time, I calibrate time, when the same dude didn't have the internet? I've shrunk my days. My days now are from, my first day is from 6 a.m. to noon. In that day, it's called a mini day. 6 a.m. to noon, I get into that day whatever I want. Some days are chill, some days are faith, some days are working out. But the amount, we've all had that morning where we go, I got done more this morning than I have in 3 weeks.
I know.
Right? So why can't that be every day? And it is, I can tell you. So my first day is 6 a.m. to noon. At noon, a clock goes off. We're in day 2. And I reevaluate really quickly for 5 seconds. What just happened? What did I do? What do I need to do more of? Next day is noon to 6 p.m. I'm gonna get the same amount of business, contacts, faith, fun, whatever it is in that ecstasy in that day. Third day is 6 p.m. to midnight. It's a third day. This gives me 3 days in one day. I get 21 days a week. If I get 21 days a week, you get 7, stacked it up over a month, a year, 5, 10 years, I'm going to smoke you in life. People begin to respond to you differently when your time is more scarce, when it's more precious. And so it's completely changed my life the last 25 years running mini days as opposed to 24-hour days. The great leaders are evangelical about their cause. They're evangelists. And they do that through public preaching, but they sell a big enough dream so that the dreams of all the people within their stewardship can fit inside the one they're selling. Most leaders get tired of hearing themselves talk. And you know what? And by the way, this is true as being a mother or a father. As a father, my job is to celebrate. We're gonna do something awesome as a family. I know, Dad. No, we're gonna do something awesome. You're amazing. You're a superstar. I know, Dad. Doesn't matter. I'm telling them over and over and over again. Most leaders think, I gotta say something new to these old people. But the truth is, you need to say something old to new people. Keep saying it over and over and over again. Sell it big. Look at all the people you admire in your life. They're visionaries who are evangelical about their mission and their cause, not necessarily the money or the cause. Think about Oprah Winfrey. Think about Martha Stewart. Think about Dr. King. Think about Mother Teresa. Think about any leader. Think about Steve Jobs. You watch old videos of Steve Jobs, he wasn't selling megabytes. I've asked Wozniak several times, tell me about Steve, what was he like? I said, by the way, why did you name the thing Apple? Just curious, man, what a weird name for a company back when companies weren't. He goes, well, you know, and Wozniak is almost like a savant. He goes, oh, well, really 2 reasons, Ed. A, came early in the phone book, so we wanted people to find us early.
Wow.
And Steve said Apple's made him happy. And so great evangelists learn to link their cause and their mission to people's bliss. You go look at an old YouTube video of Steve Jobs and he's rolling out a Mac. He's not like, here's the speed. He's like, isn't she beautiful? Yeah. Wouldn't you like, look at her curves? Wouldn't she make you happy to take her home? He's selling happiness in an inanimate object. McDonald's, #1 seller of food in the history of planet Earth.
Happy Meal.
Happy Meal. #1 older real estate. They don't sell food, they sell happiness.
Right.
Their #1 meal is a Happy Meal. Their mascot's a clown.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with food.
Yeah.
But they're in the evangelical dream selling happiness business. Great entrepreneurs, great parents, great people have this energy where they're selling you a dream that's big enough that you can fit inside it, and the dream at the end is happiness.
Yes.
That's the formula. I love Think and Grow Rich. It's one of my favorite books of all time. Next to my scripture is my favorite book. But you don't just think and get rich. You have to do things. And by the way, rich can mean more bliss, more happiness, more peace. But you don't just get those things by thinking. There's some things you have to do. Can you survive the temporary? And if you can survive the temporary, it says on the other side of temporary pain, you get introduced to your other self. And that other self, he doesn't say this, but that other self produces that other life. We think everything's permanent. Because we think it's permanent, we make permanent decisions based on temporary conditions. Even our bodies, other than our souls, are temporary. Your body isn't permanent, your problem isn't, your pain isn't. You need to create a different relationship with pain in your life. And so whatever your pain is right now, relationships just ended, financially, something that's difficult for you to do, maybe you're trying to lose weight, whatever it might be, on the other side of that temporary pain is the other self. It takes time, but you're making invisible progress. If you ever start to get down or know what to do, give yourself credit for the compound pounding you're doing. You're not sticking around long enough for the candy to come out. And that's what you need to be doing if you're going to change things. You have to become obsessed. This has to become an obsession of yours. You know, our obsessions become our possessions. And the truth of the matter is that most of you don't understand the effort, the time, the focus, the obsessiveness that's required to do something great with your life. Right. You want to do something great, you better be great at it. Greatness rises. I think just most people dramatically underestimate the amount of obsessive, crazy, relentless focus it takes to be great at something.
Yes.
And then they go, whoa, I don't want to be that out of balance or control. Then you don't want to be great. Because there's going to be a period of your life, not out of balance, but where some things take priorities over others. That's not a lack of balance. Nothing's like this all of the time. And by the way, the hardest working you've ever been, the most crazy focused you've ever been, was the happiest you've ever been in your life. You're constantly being reborn all the time, internally. So externally and in your heart and your soul and your spirit and your brain, you should be as well. These are the things that make us happy, not just doing nothing. I believe entrepreneurs and business people in general are the change agents in the world. I don't believe it's going to come from a political movement. I believe that entrepreneurs, like ourselves, are the people that are going to change the world. And I believe the planet's at a tipping point. And I think that we're trending in a direction where so many people feel invisible. So many people feel that they lack something. There's a lack of kindness and gentleness and love, particularly expressed by business people. Business people in general the last 30 years have contributed to this in a major way.